Hey guys, welcome back to Mythborn Live. Super excited to be here and to be streaming to you all. We are today going to do part 3 of 3, talking about my martial arts training and how that's influenced Mythborn, the writing. I also am going to have some more cool stuff to show you. I've found a lot of positive feedback on the various reviews and weapons I've been showing. So today I'm going to show you guys an essential survival tool I have as part of my survival kit. We'll talk a little bit about that. Again, it never hurts if you're going to be an author to have interest in many things. So, I have taught myself how to light fires using literally a bow and stick, or just rubbing a stick together, 2 sticks together. I will tell you that it is insanely difficult unless you find the right kind of tinder. And the best tinder, honestly, and unfortunately, happens to be probably stuffing from inside of your coat, small, tiny little fibers that can light, sparks light really easily, and you put them in a bird's nest. And that's the unfortunate part. Hopefully you find an empty bird's nest and you're not taking something away from a living creature. But I'll tell you what, birds, they make tinder better than any of us can. It's a tiny little nest of tinder that'll make flame. I did it with my son when he was 10. And the first time we tried, with flint and steel, by the way, it took us forever until we realized just how tiny the pieces have to be. So yeah, you see it online, I mean, on TV and stuff, a couple of flakes and there's a flame, and next thing you know, there's a huge campfire. There's definitely a montage missing in there. And so I would recommend highly that you spend your time and learn how to do it. If you're gonna do it, practice at home, not in your home, but outside, and get good at it, because it's an essential survival tool. And to that end, I have certain go-to pieces that I keep in my car or things like that, and I wanted to make sure that I went over those with you guys. But today, martial arts training part 3, fighting. I know you guys are all excited about this part because that's what everyone thinks about when they think about martial arts, fighting. So here's the thing, right? Fighting is absolutely, I would say, exciting. It's challenging. It's a physical game of chess. You are trying to do moves that create openings in your opponent that you can take advantage of, and he or she is trying to do the same to you. I will tell you, though, that when you start out, fighting can be very intimidating. And here's the thing that I learned, not actually from teaching adults, but from teaching kids. And I actually think you learn a lot from teaching a kid to do something, because they are very honest. They'll tell you when they're scared. They'll tell you when they're not scared. And you can just sort of read them almost like a book. And so you learn how the mind sort of works. And here's the deal with being good at fighting. Actually, here's the deal with being good at almost anything, right? And that is, you have to reduce your fear of that thing down to the point where it's not scary anymore. And what I mean by that is, ultimately, when you're afraid of something, your mind will work hard to limit your focus and try and focus you on the thing that you're scared about. It won't keep a wide open view. It won't keep an open mind. It will focus completely down on that one thing you're scared will happen, whether it's getting punched, whether it's getting hurt, bleeding, or just take your life. If you're scared of driving, you will focus on cars and on the car coming towards you, not on the big picture. If you're afraid of confrontation, you'll focus on the person's words and not on what they're saying. Like there's a narrowness that has been proven to be an incredible survival instinct on us. When we're afraid of something, our brains focus in on that thing to make sure that thing doesn't kill us. Right. And that's normal. That's completely normal. But that is not how you become great at the thing you fear. It's not to continue to fear it. It's to expose yourself to it, to get used to it. And then ultimately for you to take the fear away. And I talked earlier about kids. The reason why kids are so amazing to teach is because they start scared of fighting. But here's the funny thing. They don't actually start with inherent fear of the fighting itself. They worry, if anything, they worry about getting hurt. So what ends up happening is you end up getting kids sparring, and you take it gently at first, and you get them used to being in the ring, moving around, throwing their punches. I've never seen more cute things than kids wearing gloves and punching away at each other. It's hilariously funny, but it's also great practice for them. Now, let me tell you what they learn. Every time they get hit, they learn, assuming that obviously it's not I've never seen someone get hit so hard that it's a debilitating injury when it's kids. I mean, there's only so much power that 2 5-year-olds can create against each other. So the point is, every time they get hit, they start to learn, the hitting's not so bad. That's what my instructor did to us. He would constantly be hitting you. And I used to think to myself, wow, man, like, this guy really likes to beat me. Like, he really likes to beat me. He really likes to give me push-ups. He really likes to make me feel tired and hurt and pain all the time. My stances hurt. My punches hurt. Getting punched hurt. Everything hurt. Everything. But you know what happened over years? Over years, I stopped worrying about it. Pain didn't scare me anymore. Punching didn't scare me anymore. Bleeding didn't scare me anymore. None of that scared me anymore because I had gone to the bottom of the barrel in terms of my endurance. I knew what was down there. I knew there was nothing bad down there. It was just being tired. I had gone to the bottom of the barrel when it came to pain, or maybe the top of the mountain when it came to pain, and I recovered. And it wasn't, it wasn't like the end of the world. Nothing was the end of the world. And as my fear dialed down, as it was brought down by this constant exposure to the thing that I feared, the less and less I focused on it, the more and more I focused on what's the right move, what's the right strategy, what's the right type of counter. And you cannot be a great fighter walking into something fearing that thing you're walking into. You have to be above that. You have to have this sort of, you hear online, it's called like Zen mind or no mind or whatever they call that, in various things. There is actually a truth to that, right? My instructor used to say, you don't look at a tree on the mountain, you look at the entire mountain, right? You encompass that entire view and all the glory that could be, right? And I think Bruce Lee says something like that too. He says, you don't look at the moon. When you stare at the moon, you miss all the heavenly glory, right? Whatever. I think there's some line like that in the original Bruce Lee movie. And I think that ultimately there's some truth to that, which is you have to have this mind that's open to everything that's happening around you. And the only way you can get there is constantly being exposed to combat, and constantly stepping back up again when you're knocked down, and telling your brain will tell your body at that point, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. Every time you get up and you do it again, your brain remembers it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. And so that is how you become great at something, right? That's how you become great. It's constant repetition, but also doing it so that you can reduce your apprehension and your fear of that thing. And training kids, it was amazing to watch them. They're apprehensive at first, but if you don't teach them fear, if you don't freak out the first time one of them gets hit, if you don't scream, run in there, that's why it's really important not to have parents there the first time the kids fight, because, oh gosh, nothing can get worse than a parent running in and grabbing their kid before the kid has had a chance to absorb what just happened, to get himself back up, to brush himself off, to wipe off the tears, and to get back in. That process takes a little bit of time, but when they do it all the way through with no interruptions, guess what? Their confidence goes up, their ability goes up, their mentality, their focus goes up. And adults are the same. The only difference between adults and kids in training is adults have all these filters ahead of them that they have to work through, or that you have to work through as an instructor, to get to that person inside, that kid inside that wants to learn, right? So that's why the secret to training my instructor used to say is to wear you out. He would get us so tired, we couldn't mentally fight him anymore. And because we couldn't mentally fight him anymore, we were open to the training he was trying to teach us in kumite, in kata, in techniques. It was almost like a programming where you were so mentally exhausted, whatever he told you to do, chamber, punch, react, block, whatever it was, you would do it perfectly again and again. If for no other reason than you wanted class to be over. and you were just so tired you couldn't avoid the programming that was going on, and and I think it's really a sign of amazing fortitude in these kids to step back up and step back in. And I'm not, by any means at all, I'm not denigrating a parent's involvement. I think that I am a parent, right? I would want to go to karate class when and if my kids decide they want to learn karate. And I would want to be there at the side of the ring. But I will tell you, what I won't do is step in too quickly, because you would be amazed at how resilient these kids are when their parents aren't there. Now, I will tell you this. When parents are there, it's very difficult for a kid to not fall back on their parents' love, right? That's normal. It's totally natural. Their parents are there. The kid's gonna run to their parents. That's why it's so important. If you're training kids or you're training adults, you do not have for them a place they can hide or go to, right? You don't have something that they can fall back on. Let them learn to fall back on themselves, right? And what you do, you become their fallback person by encouraging them to get back up, by doing it with kindness, by doing it with calmness, with a kind of mental focus that is where you keep your energy level steady and you keep it, very, very zen, that open zen mind that your student will pick up on. And they will start to emulate that same kind of mentality. That's what fighting is useful for. Fighting in class, yes, there are other more mundane uses. You have to get ring endurance, and you won't get that except through fighting. You have to get good at reading your opponents. You have to get good at sort of the live fire exercise of throwing kicks in combat, not throwing kicks at a bag that doesn't kick back, or in the air where there's no resistance. You have to get used to those weird variables that create and require you to adjust. And I'm not minimizing that at all. Those are incredibly, incredibly important aspects of combat training. But the biggest step you can take as a student or as an instructor is to help yourself or help your student overcome the natural fear you might have when it comes to combat. The fact is, and this is the honest truth, it's not so bad. This was a good connection to what I had to do for my black belt, right? So I told you last time, I did all my katas. That took about 3 hours. I was, physically exhausted. This is after class, by the way. We've done the 3-hour class and then you test. So, we have a Sunday that he takes out the whole day. We all do a full workout. Then my test starts. I do all my katas. After the 3-hour class, I do 3 hours of katas. After that, I do somewhere around a few hundred techniques. First, the techniques are pre-scripted that I've already practiced. So things like 2 attackers attack you with this, you have to respond with this, and you show that you can execute the technique, against a certain type of attack. Then there's the ad-libs. Ad-libs are where the class just lines up and they come at you with whatever they want, but one at a time, and you have to defend yourself. And you can't hurt them, right? Obviously, you have to defend yourself, but you also have to control the situation. And they're each coming at you at a pace that's pretty fast, once a second or once every 2 seconds. Then after that, I had to do my breaking. And I had to break with every technique in the system, a minimum of 2 boards, in most cases 4, 3 or 4 boards. For my Nim Sao, which is this technique right here, I had to break, I think, 5 boards, no spacers, no gap in between. They're just a solid chunk of wood, about that thick. Blasted through it. Actually, I broke this knuckle because I was focusing on the top of the board. I think I told you guys this last week. I don't know why I did it that one time. I think my mental concentration was off, and I saw the surface. I didn't see the bottom, and I just stopped. I just stopped right there. Didn't even move. This knuckle just went, and my instructor said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Left hand." And I broke with my left hand right through it. Boom. And I went through it so cleanly, I didn't even feel it. Well, some of you guys have noticed when you're doing this, really important as you practice, wrist is flat, right? Always flat, not this, not this, not this, not this. That's how you break your wrist. So breaking. And then after my breaking, I had to do the toughest part of my test, which is my squat, which is a horse stance. Your legs are apart like this, down, and thighs parallel to the ground, and I held it. And the minimum is 20 minutes for black belt in our school. I had to hold it. I held it for 23 minutes because I was arguing with another black. Well, that's a long story. Anyways, the point is, I wasn't arguing. Someone challenged me to slightly more time, and I accepted because I wasn't about to wimp out on a black belt standing there going, I don't think you can do two more. You can do 2 more. So I was like, put it on. What is it called? Flame on, like George. And so, I think end of the day, it is a test that is designed to test you to your limits, obviously. But one of the things that I talked about last week that I wanted to share with you guys is that I don't think the fighting, I had to fight, did I say fighting already? So I did my breaking. Oh, I didn't say fighting. Yeah, I'm sorry. Between the breaking and the squat, I had to fight. And I had to fight 3 black belts, full contact, no pads, nothing, for 5 minutes straight, 1 5-minute round. Their job was to knock me out. My job was to hit with 4 controlled killing strikes on each. My instructor was the judge of whether or not the strikes were controlled killing strikes or just flabbing out at people. Flutter butterfly, get out of me! Not like that. He would stop if, for some reason, let's say you were thrown into a pile of tables or a bush, or because we would do different places. Like one time I saw a black belt test on the beach. And, he stopped when the other 3 black belts were trying to drown him, and they dragged him back up, and then they kept beat him up. I've seen, I tested personally in a ballroom in a hotel. And so, they have in the ballroom, when they clear it the day, there's chairs stacked all along the edges and tables folded up on the edges. And, I'd constantly be thrown into chairs and tumbled over them, and then they'd yell stop, and they drag me back out, and then they'd go right from there. Like it wasn't get yourself ready again or whatever. It was just boom, go. And I used to think to myself, why would you have to fight 3 black belts, 3 guys who know more than you? You're a brown belt at the time, remember that. You're testing for your black. Why would I have to fight 3 black belts? It can't be. Like, the expectation never was that you're going to beat them, because believe me, it's only in the movies. You're not going to beat 3 guys who know more than you and who have fought longer than you have. That's literally only in the movies, or maybe that is the sign of the second coming of Bruce Lee or something. I don't know, or the Avatar or something like that. But in reality, the real life truth is 3 black belts against 1 brown belt, you're going to get your ass kicked. And what you have to do is really pick your fight. Like you have to understand how to manage a crowd of people, how to move them so that they can't all get to you at the same time, and then how to use that movement and your strategy to get your shot in and then get moving again. Because if you aren't moving, you're dead. If you stand still and you fight them, you're dead. You have to keep moving. And then maybe that is a integral part of the training, which is, hey, black belt to be, you're never, ever in a situation where you shouldn't move all the time, where you shouldn't run, stop. That is actually incredibly valuable training-wise. But there's a much bigger reason, I think, that so many styles do this. and I'd be curious to see if other black belts think this is true too. I think now in retrospect, it's not just about training me on something. It's also establishing me with as a peer of those other black belts I tested against and all the black belts in the school. Think about it. If 3 of them together can't knock you out, what is one of them going to do against you? Right? So all of a sudden, it makes them respect you as a black belt from that day forward because they had the chance 3-on-1 and they couldn't knock you out. And if they can't do it, one of them isn't going to try, right? No one of them is going to try, right? And I think there's a genius to that, right? There's a genius to that in any system where you're going to have to step up and stand equal to the guys you just fought. And there can't be animosity. You both have to have an out. Their out is, hey, we're getting you ready, right? Your out is, hey, there's 3 of you against me. I wasn't expected to win, right? And so neither one of you lost face. But when you look at it on one-on-one situation, they are going to treat you with the respect that you have earned in earning that belt. So, guys, that's what I did for my black belt. It took about 6 hours. I was messed up at the end. But, you know, one could say my face is back to normal. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. I think this tooth is fake. This tooth is fake. I got this cut from that. My nose broken. Made it multiple times. Certainly on that day, this eye was messed up. It was a tough day. I remember my sister saw me after the test and she just started crying. Just literally just started crying. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I've never seen someone just look at somebody and start crying. I was like, wow, you must look really bad. So, oh well, you know, I know one thing. I know how to fight. The weapon. So this is something I want to show you guys. This is a kukri, right? Now, here's the interesting thing. This is a modern version. You can get it on Amazon. This is made by Schrade. Notice the holes. It's designed to make it a little bit lighter. It's razor sharp. What's really nice about it is this is a great thing for chopping wood and trees and things like that. It's great for whittling, and I'm not whittling like not like whittling like this, but like you know, chopping down big sticks into little pieces of tinder and things like that. It's thick, you know, relatively thick on the spine, so that you can pry things with it. You can see I've used it already. I used it to set up a tent once and to dig into the dirt. It's actually a really great weapon, and actually this brand Schrade, I got it on Amazon. It came with this case, which is really nice. Even cooler, it came with a flint and steel. Look at that, flint and steel by Schrade, and it came with a little striker. So I have a little, you know, striker and steel that I can do, and hopefully, you know, don't create any kind of problems there. But don't want to do it here actually. So if you guys think about different things to sort of collect, and you're interested in collecting things that will help you stay alive, I would recommend a nice survival knife. Survival machete. And that particular style, I think, is actually quite useful because it gives you a nice strong swing against thicker things, and it can also, you know, be used to hunt and things like that. So dismembering a deer or a larger animal, sort of butchering the carcass, you're going to need something both incredibly sharp, which is not this. This is to actually hack it down to what you might want in big pieces once you're done butchering it. But, you know, you also should get yourself a nice sharp, knife for that kind of stuff, a utility knife. Guys, this was great. Don't forget, I will be at the Barnes & Noble November 10th. Looking forward to meeting all of you, signing Mythborn, and, getting a chance to meet the fans. So I look forward to seeing you there. Please come to our new Mythborn Media site. Check it out. Register with us. Friend me on Facebook. Friend me on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Mythborn Live. And I love it. It's been doing great. I think this is our 26th episode. And we're going to keep keeping them coming. So I'm looking forward to it, and I really want to thank all of you for being subscribers, for joining, and I hope you enjoy this broadcast. It'll be on today, or it's on at 3 p.m. on our Mythborn Live channel. I'll see you then, and take care.